It's Mr. Paulus here. The purpose of this video is to give you an opportunity to see some of the types of questions that you are going to have on your evolution test. And again, of course, because this is a video, you can pause the video, go look at your study guide, add some things to your note card. But because you can pause, I'm not going to spend nearly as much time on each slide as I do in class. All right, here we go. We're going to do one column at a time, starting with chapter 15. Which scientist or scientists is or are usually given credit for the theory of natural selection? Give you guys about 20 seconds. Answers coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So, of course, Darwin we always think of, but remember, he had not gone public with his information yet, and when he got the essay or the paper from Wallace, that really kind of forced the issue and made him go public, so they both get credit for that. On the Galapagos Islands, Darwin observed somewhat blank species with traits that suited their particular blanks. What was the trait that Darwin recognized with the finches on the Galapagos Islands? Answer coming in about 30 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so on the Galapagos Islands, Darwin observed somewhat similar species with traits that suited their particular environments. And of course, the famous beak shapes of the finches. What are the two main sources of genetic variation? Natural selection acts directly on blanks, which are the physical characteristics of an organism. Blank's theory of population control allowed Darwin to relate this idea to all plants and animals. Answer coming in 30 seconds. Answer coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so mutations which occur during DNA replication and crossing over or gene shuffling happens during gamete formation. Phenotypes, or the physical characteristics, are what natural selection acts directly on. And Thomas Malthus was the economist who thought that war, famine, and disease would control populations and that there were too many things being born for the resources that are available to them. Blank presented the idea that only famine, disease, and war, that sounds familiar, could prevent the endless human population growth. Blank suggested that long-necked giraffes survived and passed these traits on to their offspring. Blank and Blank's experiments attempted to demonstrate whether organic molecules could have formed before life was present. And of course, their experiment demonstrated what we think the primitive Earth atmosphere was like. Answers coming in 30 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Of course, that was Malthus. Lamarck was the guy that thought that if you wanted something enough or if you used something enough, it would get bigger or you would have it. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works. And Miller and Urey had that famous experiment. Okay, still staying with chapter 15. Blank suggested that the Earth was shaped over long periods of time, that processes that occurred in the past are still occurring today, and that these processes have shaped Earth's features over long periods of time. Answer coming in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Know that Hutton and Lyell both had similar ideas, but the bottom line is they convinced Darwin that the Earth was very, very old, and Darwin knew that the Earth would have to be old if evolution could take place. Blank traveled the world collecting specimens and making observations. Later in his life, he proposed the theory of evolution by natural selection. What are two differences between the ideas of Darwin and Lamarck? Answer coming in 30 seconds. All right, answers coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so Darwin traveled the world. So Darwin believed in natural selection. Lamarck believed in use or disuse, that if you use something enough, it would get bigger or you would actually get it when you didn't have it. On the flip side, if you didn't use something very often or you didn't use it at all, you would lose it in a single generation. That's not how it works. Lamarck believed in some internal vital force in living things. Darwin did not. Lamarck believed that if an organism wanted a behavior or trait, they would get it. Charles Darwin did not. Sorry about that. Okay. Darwin recognized that the finches had many similar physical characteristics. This observation suggests that these finches all have blanked from a blank blank. The theory of evolution states that life blank blank blank. A structural adaptation that protects an organism by copying the appearance of another species is called what? Answer coming in 30 seconds. Answer coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, this observation suggests that these finches all descended from a common ancestor. Evolution is change over time, and copying somebody else is called mimicry. And of course, it gives it an advantage in nature if that predator wouldn't necessarily mess with the species the one is mimicking. According to Darwin's theory of blank blank, the individuals that tend to survive are those that have blanks best suited to their blank. Blank proposed hypotheses of the inheritance of acquired traits, but does not propose an accurate mechanism for that. Answer coming in 30 seconds. Answer coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, theory of natural selection. Individuals tend to survive are those that have traits, characteristics, adaptations best suited to their environments. And Lamarck was the guy that knew that traits could be inherited from parents, but how those traits actually got inherited in a different generation is what Darwin said. Lamarck thought it could happen in the same generation and was wrong. Okay, on to chapter 16 and some random questions. What three things did Darwin and Lamarck have in common? Answer coming in 30 seconds. Five, four, three, two, and one. Okay, they both believed living things evolve, so they both believe in evolution. They both believe that organisms descended from others, that your offspring came from parents, and that over time characteristics change. Both believed organisms were adapted to their environments, they had characteristics that gave them an advantage, and both believed traits get passed from parents to offspring. In the past, what events led to rapid evolution due to the fact that new habitats were now available to them? Which scientists suggested that the human population would grow faster than space and food necessary to support it? Answer coming in 30 seconds. Five, four, three, two, and one. Okay, mass extinctions or extinctions opened up new habitats. That's how mammals were able to adaptively radiate over time. And Malthus thought that there were too many organisms and not enough food and resources. Blank blank is the random change in blank blanks of a population, right out of chapter 16. Blank is the process where two populations become different enough to be unable to breed and produce fertile offspring. 30 seconds. Answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, genetic drift is the random change in allele or gene frequencies of a population, and speciation is when two populations change enough to where if they did try to interbreed, they would not be able to produce fertile or viable offspring. What type of isolation is exemplified by Galapagos finches being separated from the mainland finches? And when I say mainland, I mean South America. For the formation of a new species, blank isolation must occur. All genes of all members of a population defines what? And Darwin's observations of finches and tortoises made him wonder if ones from different islands had been members of the blank species. Answers coming in 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So, if the islands were separated from the mainland, that's geographic isolation. Geographic, temporal, and behavioral isolation all can lead to reproductive isolation. That's the type of isolation necessary for new species to come about. The gene pool is this definition. And let's see, made him wonder if ones from different islands had been members of the same species. Finches, he also recognized that in tortoises. All right, on to chapter 17. Darwin viewed the blank blank as a detailed record of evolution. Answer coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Fossil record. All right, which organism was the last to evolve? So this is the most recent. This is the most ancient down here. Which type of organism had the most diversity? And which group diversified shortly after arriving on the scene? Answer coming in 30 seconds. And I will explain how you figure out these answers given the diagram. Answer coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so the last to evolve basically means the one that arrived latest, and that's mammals, because it arrived up here. All of these arrived down in the Mesozoic and Paleozoic. All right, which type of organism had the most diversity? Basically, that means the widest on the diagram, and of course, the widest is the bivalves. And which group diversified shortly after arriving? So these guys arrived and they had very little biodiversity, then really quickly they got a lot of biodiversity. The opposite is true here. These guys had a lot of biodiversity, and over time they lost their biodiversity and again became extinct. So you will have a diagram very similar to this on the test that you will have to answer questions about. What percentage of all life on Earth has become extinct? A necessary condition for life to evolve on Earth was the presence of blank blank. A single species that evolved into many different ones is called blank blank, and an example is the Galapagos finches. Answers coming in 30 seconds. Answer coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So over 99% of all the living things that have ever been on planet Earth are extinct. Needed liquid water to evolve. We believe the first organisms on the planet were a type of bacteria and that they needed liquid water to evolve in. And then as a single species becomes numerous species, in the case of the finches, one species became 13. That is called adaptive radiation. True or false? When oxygen level rose in the atmosphere, 1, there was very little extinction. 2, some life forms survived only in a few airless habitats. And 3, some life forms evolved metabolic pathways that use the oxygen for respiration. So these are 3 separate true or false questions. Answers coming in 20 seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, first answer is false. It created a mass extinction. True, some life forms survived in a few airless habitats. So if they couldn't handle air before and they were in a habitat where there wasn't any air or oxygen, they still could survive. And 3, some organisms figured out how to use oxygen for their respiration. Our ancestors, of course, did that because we need air and oxygen to survive. Okay, on to chapter 17 again. The first living organisms on Earth is most likely which type of organism that lives today? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We think bacteria were the first living things on the planet. Blank is when 2 species evolve in response to changes in each other over time together. What type of rock do most fossils form within? Answers coming in 30 seconds. All right, answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So coevolution. Co means together. They're evolving together. Most fossils are found in sedimentary rocks. What happens with the structure of the forefoot throughout the years? So this is a long time ago. This is more recent. This is the forefoot. We have 4 different horse type creatures. What are 2 ways that the organisms change from 50 million years to 3 million years ago? So what are 2 ways these organisms change based on what you're seeing in these fossils? Give you about 30 seconds. Answers coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so the forefoot, notice how short it is here. it gets dramatically longer. Also, there used to be individual toes, and you'll notice that these two middle ones eventually turn into something more like a hoof, and then they're now completely a hoof. So it gets longer and the toes turn into a single bone. The organisms get taller, short, taller. Okay. They also get longer. Look at how short this is left to right and how long this is left to right. The forefoot toe bones turn into a hoof. So this is a hoof. Used to be individual toes. The forefoot gets longer, shorter, and longer. And the forefoot toe and bone gets wider. See kind of a hoof-like structure, wider and longer, wider and longer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that these questions will help you get a better idea of what you're going to be expected to know on the test, and I will see you in class.